Thank you. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Chirp. I thought I was clever. I always think I'm clever. It's good to be me, right? I thought I was clever and made that little logo for you guys today and called this April Showers Brings the Chirp. And ChatGPT was like, "Hey, I updated my imaging capabilities." So I was like, "I'm just gonna have it make this." So I don't know. I think it did kind of a good job. I don't hate it. So if you guys want to catch that, it's on the Birds of a Feather group. Just scroll down and you'll see it. I'm like kind of obsessed with the bird that's chirping at the bottom. We might need to steal that forever. I'm not sure, but we have a question. We actually only had one question submission today, which is fine. I think that Mercury is kind of in a microwave this week. And we are all feeling it. I know I am, and I know that more than one of you is too, because I've gotten some messages this week. So it's okay. I know, and I'm not even sure if this is like the most ideal time for all of you to be here. I know a long time ago. Probably like, ooh, I don't know, like months ago, like 8 months ago now, maybe was the last time I did a poll on what the best time for this live class would be during the week. And I might need to re-poll you guys because we've had some new people come in, maybe a lot of new people come in and see if there's a better time that more people can make it. Because lately, I think in like the past 4 weeks, it's like only been Jessica. So I feel like we need to reimagine what time and day we should meet for this. So maybe more of you can actually come. But obviously, this is designed so that you can also watch these later and it'll continue to be that way. I just would like to accommodate you guys as much as possible because actually, come to find out, this whole program is about you guys, and I want to be able to deliver and give you guys as much as humanly possible in the time frames that work for you the best. So, that being said, I'll probably just put that poll up. Why not? Tomorrow morning. I don't want to do it tonight. I'll do it tonight. I'll put the poll up tonight, and then the replay for this will go up tomorrow morning. I think that's what we'll do. So be on the lookout for that. All right. So let's get to our question. Our question is, let me get to the Google form. Um, okay. I know every single one of you knows what this feels like because we're all human. And I know what this feels like. So this is a really good question. I don't think anyone's necessarily asked me this before in the chirp. I've had some people ask me individually in the past couple of years since I've been coaching, but no one's asked it formally. So I think this will be good. And I actually, since this is the only question, I wrote a bunch of notes so I could hit this in a stepwise fashion and talk about it in a little bit more of a nuanced way, which you guys know I love to do. So the question is, if I find myself in a situation where I'm towards the end of the day and I'm behind on protein, but getting it all in would put me significantly over calories, is it better to just stay within the calories? Question mark. Obviously, this implies that I didn't plan or stick to my plan. LOL. LOL emphasized by me, Stevie. Not ideal, but that does happen sometimes. And I'm wondering what is the best choice I can make in that situation? Awesome. So let me get to my notes because I don't want to just like spew on you guys. I want this to kind of make sense. Um, so basically, hey, like the goal here is not to become a magician at fixing a badly planned day at 9 p.m., right? It's the goal, the ultimate goal, and like this person named it, is to build days that don't require a rescue mission like this. But like it happens. It happens to me almost never now, but it was definitely happening to me a lot more when, I was early on in the macros game. So I totally get it. And then sometimes I have it happen with my fat and carbs, which is easier to catch up on. But almost never happens with protein for me. But like, here's the thing. The answer is going to be it kind of depends. But the first line I want to attack here is that like if you're consistently ending the day with like 50 to 70 plus grams of protein short, this isn't a nighttime problem. This is a planning and distribution problem, right? So, how can we prevent this from happening as much as possible? I want to give you guys some tips and tricks there, or just like reiterate some stuff because protein is the macro that usually takes the most intention. And that was certainly true for like our hunter-gatherer ancestors too, right? So it's like, hey, maybe not fat, but like carbs are readily available. Maybe you can like just walk outside a camp and pick some berries or something like that, eat like some tubers. I don't know. But like protein, you have to go like hunt and kill an animal. So it's like kind of like, oh, well, thank God we don't have to do that anymore. Specifically, personally, we don't have to do that anymore. But we do have to plan for it a little bit more intentionally still to this day, which is kind of interesting. I just had thought about that when I was kind of answering this question and writing some stuff down. But honestly, and you guys all know this from before you worked with me and before you started down this kind of journey of health and fitness in this capacity, very, very few people accidentally eat enough protein, right? If you're just winging it or you have no idea, then it's actually really hard to do. And like I said, carbs are super easy to backfill, fats super easy to backfill, but protein's the thing that kind of requires decisions. So if you wait until dinner to just kind of like see where you land, you are 100% gambling with that. And like I know this person who asked is feeling that. Um, so here's what we're gonna do. And I'll just give you some tips here on like better planning, and then we can move into answering this question in the way I think I know this person really wants to hear, right? What are some strategies if this does happen? But we'll cover that here in just a second. So first, I want you to, if you don't pre-log anything else, I want you to pre-log your protein. So anchor protein at those meals, just like that leucine threshold that we talked about on like the when when the protein's like knocking at the door of the muscle, that whole class. We want this to be spread out fairly evenly so that we always have those building blocks available and that they're tipping the threshold of getting into the muscle mass. So that's another reason why it's super important because we want this incorporated into muscle as much as possible, right? So that means breakfast protein, lunch protein, dinner protein, snack protein. Like all of these times you're eating are actually full meals. Not like a snack's not going to ever just be like a cheese stick. And maybe sometimes it is, but far and few between, right? We want those protein anchors throughout the day. So if you don't log anything else ahead of time, do your protein. All right, so breakfast, 30 to 35 grams, lunch, 30 to 40 grams, dinner, 30 to 40 grams, another snack somewhere in there, 30 grams. Like try to tip that 30-gram threshold every time you eat. All right. So then instead of like hoping that you're just going to reach whatever your target is by the end of the day, you know that you will because it's already built in there. And you don't always get to like have the perfect day. And I understand that. But I promise you, the more that you pre-plan these and the more perfect days you kind of have built out in macro stacks, the easier this is going to get because then you just have like default meals that you can copy forward into your macro stacks. And then some of you, I think like a couple of you are actually using MyFitnessPal right now as like part of their a part of your program. So I think you can still copy forward in MyFitnessPal too. So the more days you kind of have built out, the better, because you'll just be able to like copy that meal to that next day, and it makes it so much easier. Like the only reason, maybe not the only reason, but one of the main reasons why I almost never miss now is because I have so many meals built out that I can just be like, cool, I'm out of whatever. Like I ran out of something. I ran out of one ingredient. I ran out of milk to make my little overnight oats the other day, and I didn't have time to go to the store because I was working like 7 days in a row in person. So like, well, it's okay because I have like a breakfast built out that doesn't require me to have milk. So I could just like reach back, copy that forward. So I almost never miss anymore because I have so many tools in my tool bag. A lot of you guys at the very beginning here, you're just building out your tool bag. So it's harder and harder until you have all of those resources kind of accumulated. So that's important to know too. Like if you're early on in this process, which this person who asked this is, it's going to get easier and easier, but inevitably you're going to have those days where you don't hit it. So in those cases, what are we going to do? Well, it depends. I would say it depends on how often this happens. Okay. So if this happens once in a while, then I am less worried about you going over calories a little bit. If it only happens every once in a while. If you are doing this very often and we are in like a fat loss phase, then I don't necessarily want you going over calories. So that's one piece of the puzzle, right? But it's not the only piece of the puzzle. So part of this is like food choice. I'm going way off my notes, by the way. There's just like there's doesn't seem to be a good way to like organize this super well. Um, Food choice, protein choice is going to play a big role here because if you're eating a lot of I'll give an example in my life. So my kind of go-to protein sources at dinner specifically are chicken, lean ground turkey, and there's a reason why my protein choices are these things, pretty much. Because I have some sort of like mental parameter or control over like what amount of fat is contained in these protein sources. Um, so chicken's gonna have very little fat. I make sure my ground turkey has very little fat because I buy like 97.3 or 99.1. Um, and then I always have like a couple of like top sirloins. Maybe I have like one of those a week that I kind of put in my air fryer. But that one, so the top sirloins has a lot of fat, a lot more fat in it than the turkey or the chicken. So if I have like an end of the day crisis, which sometimes happens, it's not ever like significant, but it's kind of like, oh shoot, I was behind on fat or whatever today, then well, I'm gonna choose the top sirloin. If I am like, oh my gosh, I have no more calories from fat because I have to do all three macros, which you guys don't have to do, so you can play with that a little bit more. If I'm like I have zero fat left, then I'm like kind of in trouble. So I'll try to go for like that 99.1 lean ground turkey with like some jasmine rice so that I'm just like doing the best that I can with those options that I have. So I would find something that's like a really lean source of protein. And why that matters for you for calories is because fat is so much more calorically dense than lean just protein. Or if you just like can find a pure protein, which is really hard to do, right? Sometimes that what that looks like for me if I like were in a pinch would be like non-fat milk with super like low fat, low carb protein powder, like whey protein powder, and like rice cereal or something. Like I'll take like I have this gluten-free cereal that's like mostly rice based, so I'm just getting a ton of carbs and then a ton of protein and very little fat, and that's going to be like half as many calories as something that has mostly fat and protein. So you can kind of game plan it there, knowing that fat is 9 calories per gram and protein and carbs are 4 calories per gram. So you can kind of be like, cool, okay, I understand this now. I can risk mitigate myself from going too far over calories if I just cut back on calories from fat here. Every time I do a class, Shelby starts crying at me and she's about to do it. I can tell. Yeah, girl, it's okay. Okay, she's settling down. Okay, so that's one kind of technique you can use. And then you're like, hey, is it better for me to go way over calories? Or like hit the protein and go over calories, or not hit the protein and not go over calories. I would say if this isn't happening very often, it kind of matters less. Another thing that kind of you want to think about here is not everybody and not everybody can process more than X certain amount of protein in one sitting. And that's going to be very case by case dependent on your body, right? So why not just cram it all in? This is the case for this because protein is not only about the 24-hour total, right? And we talked about this in that other like kind of muscle protein synthesis class. It's also about the distribution, and you want repeated opportunities across the day to meet that muscle protein synthesis threshold. And you don't get bonus points for accidentally under eating protein all day and then panic eating a pound of chicken before bed. In fact, that might cause some of you some GI distress. And then like I have a handful of you that we did your gut health test and we're like, hey, you don't have like all these enzymes that break down protein aren't kind of firing on all cylinders. So maybe if you're one of those people who kind of feels a little bit bloated, feels like you're like getting a little bit more inflamed if you're eating high amounts of protein all at once, then I would definitely not recommend that for you at all. And I think that the tipping threshold there probably for most people is like more than 50 grams at a time. I might just cap it there or 45 grams at a time and just be like, hey, cut your losses. Let's try again tomorrow. And like, even if it's not causing you the GI distress, it's like kind of debatable on if like your body's utilizing the rest of that appropriately. So in that case, if that protein goal is like so far out of reach, I would almost just say, hey, go for your calories and keep that protein bolus around 45, 50 grams tops, but not really more than that. It's probably not going to do that much for you. Other than just give you calories, which is okay too if you're short, but you can get calories from other sources. Okay. What did I write here? 50 to 70 grams short. Yeah, I said that already. Okay, so then the other ask is what does significantly over calories mean? Because sometimes people say significantly over calories and they mean like 80, right? But that's still within your window. So that wouldn't be that big of a deal. But other times they mean 400 to 500 calories. Okay, so those two things aren't the same. So if it means going 50 to 150, really even over calories, honestly, in most cases, I would often prefer that you get in the protein as long as it's not like 70 grams all at once. It's probably not as beneficial. Especially if you're like in a fat loss phase, if you're struggling to hit protein on a regular basis, if you're strength training, which all of you are, and trying to build some more muscle, then yeah, just like go for it. It's probably not going to tip the threshold of your like uh, of that like 50 to 70 range if it's like 150 calories over anyways. But if it means going like 250 to 500 calories over, and that's on a pretty regular basis, then that's different. I'd be much more likely to say like, let's get in a moderate amount of protein for this meal and not force the full catch-up. So it's really, it depends. It does. It kind of depends. And it depends on a lot more than that too. And I think another example I was thinking of, not just specifically on protein, is like I still have nights where it'll be like 8 p.m. or something like that, 8:30 p.m., like just earlier this week when I got home super late from work. And I was like, well, I have to eat all this dinner and I'm like 100 grams of carbs behind. And I'll just be like, well, I can have like 3 mochis or something like for dessert, right? Um, and I admit that's probably not the best decision for me to be making, not just sometimes, but probably ever. And that's just because I know that I am like predisposed genetically and have actually been pre-diabetic in the past. So for me to have like 100 grams of carbs before, like right before I go to bed, is probably not the most wise choice for not only my sleep quality, but also for like my blood sugar. So you have to kind of think about stuff like that for your body specifically as well. And not just carbs right before you go to bed too, right? Like it'd probably be much more healthy for the long term for none of us to eat probably 2 to 3 hours before bed. Just because it's going to affect the quality of our sleep. So anytime you're eating, your body has to kind of like amp up to process that. So your heart rate's going to elevate, your blood sugar is going to elevate, which is normal. It could elevate a normal amount or an abnormal amount, depending on who you are. And like all of these things are going to just make sleep quality a little bit harder. So yeah, I mean, we can say blanket statements for like, this is probably not the best thing for anyone to do, but you also have to know yourself a little bit and pick and choose what the best choice is for you too in some of these situations, because it's going to happen to all of us every now and then. Um, so let's see here. I think I wrote kind of like, yeah, some like kind of guidelines here. Um, yeah. So we'll say based on how far behind on protein you are, this is what I would do. If you're only a little bit short, like 10 to 25 grams short, and you're like, it's like not enough to really like trigger, maybe not trigger muscle protein synthesis, but I am a little short, no problem. Just like easy, just plug the gap. Just do it. Just go for it. So 10 to 25 grams, just do it. If you're moderately short, like 25 to 40 grams, then I would probably also just fill the gap. But maybe you're going to have to do it with a lean protein choice, like we talked about earlier. So you're going to have to be mindful of the calories in that situation, and you can play with that if you have the food readily available. So if you're massively short, like 50 to 75 plus grams, then I'm asking, is this even useful for me to eat this much protein all at once? Am I just chasing like a green thumb on an app? Or like, is this going to actually benefit me? The answer is probably no, no, and no, right? Would this be better handled by eating a normal protein forward dinner and accepting the day just wasn't ideal and starting over? Yeah, because you're going to learn from that, right? Failure is our best teacher. Because again, if you need 72 grams at dinner, the problem is not dinner. So it's something we do need to kind of try, fail, and adjust on. And accept the fact that you don't have to be perfect every single day, right? If you're in a fat loss phase, it's more important for you to be way more consistent. It's going to matter, but especially if we're like tapering you up to maintenance or you're in maintenance, and it's gonna matter a little bit less. And we're not chasing perfection; we're just chasing consistency over time. Because those are the people, and we talk about this a lot too, who are consistent over the long haul as opposed to perfect for a little while. The consistent for the long haul are going to be the people who are successful. We talked about specific physiology. Let's see here. Wow, I really went off script. Typical. And it's 6:02. Um, wow, I think I covered everything actually in way less words than I have had written out. um, let's see here. So I'll just like kind of reiterate with some of these rules of thumb that I wrote out. And I think this all should be review and then we'll wrap it up. But if this is happening pretty rarely, just like every now and then I would say try to stay fairly close to calories if you can. Get in a reasonable amount of protein and don't force a huge catch up if it's late at night and would be excessive. I just wouldn't do it. I would just get what you can and move on without the guilt. Now, if this is frequently happening, we need to look at your planning process way more closely, right? We need to stop winging the day. We need to pre-log those protein anchors. We need to build breakfast and lunch way better so that you're not catching up at night. And use a backup protein plan. So, like, knowing the information I told you, like how much fat is in these protein sources, right? Then you can plug the gap with the protein source that you need based on calories and caloric density. If you can tolerate dairy, then like non-fat dairy is a really good way to do this. Egg whites are a really good way to do this. Egg whites are like all protein, zero carbs, zero fat. So egg whites are like amazing if you can tolerate those. Um, and then non-fat dairy is amazing if you could tolerate that too. Now, if you are dairy free and you're allergic to eggs, then we're going to have to be more just like pre-planning for you specifically because that's not necessarily my situation. And we would need to really be mindful about pre-planning so that you have that tool bag built, right? Um, yeah. And then if you're only a little short, plug the gap. If you're massively short, don't turn the app into a panic attack. It's okay. You might not tip the scale on your bar, or you might not get your green thumb. It's all right. Just eat a smart protein forward ending to the day. Accept that perfect is gone. Be nice to yourself about it and just say, this happens to people. This happens to me. It's okay. We're all like human and we're just trying to freaking live our lives, and that's okay too. And we're gonna fix tomorrow before this gets away from us again. Okay. And then yeah, I think that's everything. I had some scenarios. I don't think we need to do that. Um, I don't think that we need to do the rest of this. I think I said it all. Cool. I'm glad that I went rogue. Otherwise, this probably would have taken way longer. Cool. Did we have anyone else pop in? I don't think so. Jessica, do you have any questions? All right. I think we are solid, guys. I hope this was helpful tonight. Let me see if I have any like announcements. So next week, just to remind you guys, I will be gone. Um, Fun thing that we're gonna do for you though is Miss Chelsea Nance, who is part of our program, who's actually in my new maintenance program, just kind of getting workouts and like every 6 week check-ins now that she's completed her program and has like really nailed it. She had some really good success. We started working together probably like over a year ago at this point, and she's just slayed it and has had some really big like epiphanies. So I'm gonna interview her kind of podcast style on Friday morning, and I'm gonna put that up for you guys on next Tuesday night. I'm gonna schedule it to kind of go up and be posted for you guys so you have something while I'm gone. Otherwise, I'm gonna be completely off grid, like out of pocket for 5 days. I'm really excited about this because probably the only time that I've been able to do something like this in like 2 years. So the biggest ask I have is like get after it with the April challenge, support each other in the group, like really get in there. Remember the person who the buy-in for the April challenge is you have to do all 4 weeks of your Whoop goals. So if you haven't done all 4 weeks of your Whoop goals, if you haven't done Mondays, you still do that this week, right? So if you haven't done those, then you don't meet the buy-in. And then it's after that, whoever gets the most green thumbs and is like the most participatory in a Birds of a Feather is going to win that free month. So I'll announce that when I come back. And I will get to your check-ins on Thursday to this week because I have no other responsibilities other than running this freaking business and taking care of you guys this week. So reach out if you need anything. Don't forget to do your check-ins tomorrow and have the best night. I guess if you're watching this on the replay, the best Wednesday ever. Bye.